All right, welcome back. We're turning our attention to sports now, football particularly. Even though it wasn't a good one yesterday, at some point I had to go to bed.
Well, it ended up 2-1.
2-1.
Nigeria.
Not a good one. But just to take a look at football matters, we've got Harrison Jalla here with us today. He's of the National Association of Nigerian Footballers. That's NFF.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you, Shamboli.
Well, football, it's always a huge talking point in the country. But the National Assembly, this bill, this NFF bill that they've passed, is this something that excites the football community, including yourself?
No, really, not really, because it didn't pass through due process. You know, legislating on the
NFF
on
bill?
any matter, you have to go through the due process. There are procedures in legislation. So if the National Assembly legislates on any particular matter that affects a particular constituency, there's a procedure for it. That they didn't do.
What's the procedure for National Assembly to
The
pass bill?
procedure for it is that after the first and second reading, there's supposed to be public hearing. That didn't happen.
So does that invalidate the fact that, well...
There are certain sections of the provisions of that bill that is not acceptable to stakeholders.
Such as?
No, they're very, very voluminous. It's not what we can discuss on this program. And we drew the attention of the Senate to it in 2017 that this is not acceptable because this cannot be an exceptional case. You can't bypass the process of legislation in this matter.
What did you tell them you didn't want inside?
No, a lot of provisions of that bill really will not suit the development of football.
Give us
for
an
instance.
You know, for instance, they are legislating on a private company that is running the league. The league management company is a private company that is incorporated at the Corporate Affairs Commission. You don't even need to legislate on football. The Corporate Affairs Commission is there. But if you must legislate on football, then you do the proper thing. That's exactly the position.
We're not talking about the LMC. We're talking about the NFF Bill 2019.
That's what I'm telling you. Part of the provision of that is
included the LMC. Exactly,
that they legislated on the LMC. That's a private company. I'm just giving you one aspect of that bill, and there are several provisions of it. So, and as we speak, even that bill, as it is constituted, players are not on the board of the federation. And we said, no, we take an exception to that, because that is the most relevant constituency in the game of football. So we must have our representative in that 15 members that makes up the executive committee.
So now that the bill has been passed,
just a minute.
What can you do?
No. The president has to assent to it. There are provisions. We can use the judicial process to set it aside. It's not a problem.
Why would you want to set it aside? Because if Nigerians feel, all right, this is okay, but if you feel hard done by, you can always seek for amendments, which is what is normal, which is what can happen. You don't want any amendment, you want the entire thing away.
No, let me use your constituency. They can amend. Let me use your constituency, for instance. If there is legislation on the NUG, and you feel strongly about some points in that law, you can make your feelings known to the National Assembly, which we did. We passed through the normal process. And they went ahead to pass the bill. So we'll still make a formal complaint to the president before the bill is assented to. But if the bill is assented to, we know what we take the normal judicial process.
So what you want right now is for a public hearing to be held on this?
No, you see, what I mean is that before you pass a legislation that affects the lives of people, we are talking about development of football. It's very central. You don't do it without taking the stakeholders along. It's there, it's very clear.
Who are the stakeholders in this case?
The stakeholders are people, investors in football, the players, all the constituencies that makes it up.
Have they complained?
Of course, we are part of it. We are complaining.
I mean the investors you're talking about here now.
They are complaining. Even as I speak to you, this Ministry of Sports raised an objection.
To this?
Exactly. They were not also comfortable. The minister had to send a very strong resolution to the National Assembly.
What was the objection?
I don't know. They raised their own objection to it. If you ask properly, you will know.
I thought you know the objection. That's why you're raising it.
No, they were not also comfortable because that is a parastatal under their ministry.
What were they not comfortable with?
Look, Chamberlain, what I'm trying to let you understand clearly is this. Yeah. The NFF is not an autonomous body on its own. It's a parastatal under the Ministry of Sport. So if you are going to legislate You are legislating on, if I'm a minister, for instance, and you are legislating on one of my departments, you know, I should be.
Look at some of the recommendations
yes.
now. First, they repeal the NFA Act and establish the NFF. That's usually normal. Recognizes NFF as the sole body in charge of football administration, management, and regulations in Nigeria, in line with the statutes approved by FIFA. Recognizes football as a national asset. Well, that usually goes on, but there's several provisions here. So
those are the highlights.
If you say that you have one or two clauses that you don't want, is that going to mean that you want then, because of these clauses which you want that are not included in this bill, you want the entire thing to be done away with?
No. You see, what we asked for, you see, in our protest letter to both the President of the Senate and the Speaker of the House of Representatives, we drew their attention. You see, football is an industry that you need people to make input in what you are doing. Those who made up the sports committee in the National Assembly, they are not sports people. They need the support of people who are in the business of football to assist them to do it. There was a draft bill when before now there was this confusion, and there was a draft bill when Uneya's panel was set up a few years ago. The same thing. Uneya was a former president of the NFF.
Okay.
We worked towards this same thing. But they expunged a lot of those recommendations by the experts who said this is the kind of bill that will assist us.
But has there been
so we don't know whether they have some other interest.
Has there ever been any bill passed and they have a public hearing and all the recommendations of the public hearing are considered and factored in when the bill is eventually passed?
I think in most cases, the public hearing is to fine-tune the bill, is to take inputs from those whom the legislation will affect. And I think that's due process. All
right. If the minister, you say, was not happy and he felt strongly about it, he had several means. He usually goes there to present his budgets. He has several avenues to reach out to them. Did he take advantage of that?
Of course he did.
At what point?
The ministry did, yes. I think about 2 years ago or so, yeah, they did. I read it in the papers that they appeared before the National Assembly.
No, not for their budget defense.
No, not for on this.
For this.
On this, yes.
What was the outcome?
I can't even remember. Those in the ministry will tell you exactly. You know, but they also have, because they're also affected by the bill as well.
Okay, because part of the recommendations too says there will be clear-cut and transparent financial management structure, including requirements for NFF to publish its annual audited accounts in the minimum of 2 national dailies and obligation to keep its accurate audited accounts for inspection by members upon arrival. It goes on and talks about financial issues with the NFF. This has always been a huge talking point with the NFF.
Is there any physical discipline, financial discipline in the NFF?
Isn't there?
There is none. As we speak, there are issues in court.
So that means this bill is correct because they want to address those
that
issues.
Aspect, we are not condemning the bill, you know, just get me clearly. We are not condemning the bill, but we are saying we are central to football. The players mix up the game. If the game is not there, you are not talking about the bill.
So what is the financial issue?
No, there are a lot of issues. As we speak, there are several cases in courts. You know, it has to do with physical indiscipline.
Against the, against the president?
No, against the federation. I don't need to mention name. The board itself, they acted in concert to do what they did. We have, as we speak today, the anti-graft agencies is asking for an account of $6.5 million US that has been misappropriated, allegedly. So when you talk of the bill, yes, in that aspect, yes, of course, we must talk about fiscal discipline in financial terms. So you cannot, what is happening now is a lot of recklessness, no financial regulations is being observed, and so on and so forth. For Christ's sake, that body is a parastatal under a ministry.
Since you're a stakeholder,
yes.
Did you at any point ask the bigger body of the NFF, for instance, say, if you feel very strongly that there are financial misappropriation, we want to see your records for transparency's sake? Did you?
They are not obliged to do that. What they do, they have a Congress, they have their own bodies, they have their own internal regulations, But unfortunately, they have a Congress that cannot, in the first instance, control the boards. So you see issues flying out as we speak.
How did you come to that conclusion?
I come to that conclusion because as it stands now, in a very organized climate, the board entirely by now should have been dissolved completely.
Why?
Because they have, that's what I'm telling you, they have before the courts as we speak today.
Okay, so
we'll leave
the matter before the court away.
Sent to the civil court or the sports court?
No. These are funds that were appropriated from the National Assembly.
Okay.
They are incomes that came in from external sources, you know, like grants from FIFA. I'm talking about 16.5 million that was misappropriated. Those as we speak, those
allegedly misappropriated, or you have it on good authority, it's been misappropriated?
This is here. Has
it been proven by anybody?
These are institutions. These are institutions.
No, I'm
These are institutions that are backed by law. They did their investigations. They are
Mr. Jalla,
yes,
you are categorical that it was misappropriated. Is it an allegation or it's been proved? And by who?
From the investigations the anti-graft agencies did.
Which anti-graft agency?
The EFCC done their own, the special panel.
You have a copy of the report?
They are all here. These are the charges.
Report?
They are here. These are the charges. These are the charges. 17 counts.
The EFCC report that has proved that this is.
Oh yes, they did it clinically. Yes, they did all clinically.
Is it the EFCC that proves it or the court?
They are before the court. They should go and they are clear themselves.
We need to let that go away because if it's before the court, we can't go deep into it. But let's take a look at. Let's just a minute. We will come to you. Let's take a look at what was said when we had the NFF president.
We have a partner, and these sponsors, even some of these sponsors, even before they go into sponsorship, they do integrity check on us. Coca-Cola, Nike, intensive integrity check. And at the end of the day, we come out clean. So some are bothered, why some are not, you know. But you can't say our partner is in corruption. Nobody wants to hear that, you know. But that is the target of these people that I feel that I say they are delusional. That is their target. Their target is to chase out the sponsors and make sure that we are comatose completely. But we thank God we have interaction. We create fora where we meet once in a while to educate them, to show them documents, and also to show them how their money is being spent. We do that, and that's one of the functions of financial derivatives. And also PwC, we just put it out there for them to see clearly what we do in terms of what is going on is mere persecution.
How much is the budget of the NFF?
I mean, it's not a hidden document. You know, we have about ₦1 billion every year in budget, but what is backed by cash, or what is called budget performance, about 65%, which comes to about 650,000. But let me give you an example. When the Super Eagles, they are playing a game, the minimum it costs is 250 million. Now, this morning I was reading, they sent a memo to me, you know, for Mikel, or the people that they invited. Mikelobi's ticket alone is 3.5 million. It's normal. Igalo's own is about 4-point-something million. You know, so if you put all this together, if you have 30 players calculate together, you're talking about 60-70 million alone for their coming. They talk about daily allowances, you talk about bonuses, you talk about accommodation, you talk about match organization, referees and indemnities, you can go on and on. It is huge. And you are dealing with 13 national teams.
What's your impression on his submission?
Well, we are doing our civic duty. We have to hold him and the rest of the board accountable for the funds.
Who are the we now?
We stakeholders in Nigerian football.
Precisely. There are many stakeholders in Nigerian football.
In Nigerian football, the group I represent.
There's a group called Stakeholders of Nigerian Football,
yes,
which is what you represent.
Yes. So we have to hold them accountable for the funds they take and how they spend these funds. So we are not going out of our bounds.
So why is these stakeholders, your group, that will do that? You said they have a Congress.
Yes.
They have investors.
Yes.
They have financial derivatives.
We are concerned. We are driven. This is our life. We are driven by patriotic zeal. The game of football revolves around our lives. So we want to see and know how these things are moving, how they
does your group contribute?
What he's saying.
Do you have any financial contributions in this?
What he's saying. Listen, we represent the players. We represent the players. The players are very key. If the players are not there, they will not be running the show. So what we are saying, if they are saying that sponsors want accountability. There's no sponsor that will be scared that people are people are asking for accountability.
But you're not speaking
financially,
for sponsors now.
For instance, he talked about...
You're not speaking for sponsors.
No, I'm not speaking. What I'm saying, he's saying that sponsors will get... When you're asking for accountability, sponsors want accountability.
But he's giving it
they
to
want
them.
Their
he just
funds.
said so.
They
he just
want,
said so.
yeah, exactly. They want their funds.
He said they have
they want their funds
they bring
to
them to
yes,
explain to them
exactly.
how the monies that they brought in.
They want their funds to be properly appropriated. So that's exactly what we are saying. That these funds should be properly appropriated to the things that they are assigned to.
What would you say if, for instance, those who are watching now say that you're just directly trying to malign the credibility of the NFF?
No, it's not. The matter, as we said, if you make that statement, then you are not being fair to us. We are all trying to work for the benefit of football. One of the mantras of this administration is to fight against the issues of corruption. So we are saying that this is our own sector. We want things to get... We played a football match yesterday. As we speak, the allowances of those players have not been paid right from the qualification series.
What did the ministry say about it?
The Ministry of Sports?
Yes.
I don't know. These are the people that are in charge.
The Ministry of Sports is in charge?
These are the people that are in charge. They didn't pay. How do you win championships? It's by motivation. The players were not motivated.
You don't
think football is not properly run in the country? We are saying that these things... I remember...
Yes, just a minute. You don't think the ministry should be concerned about that?
The ministry should be concerned. Proposals are put before them. Of course, yes, of course. The ministry puts in intervention funds in major championships.
But we also understand that, we saw that yesterday. The NFF say that they were shocked that their budget was not factored into the ministry's budget, even after duly submitting all of those. And
you have to hear from the ministry. That's just one side of the story. Like he has just said, the ministry too came up with reasons to let you know that each of those competitions that they bring intervention funds. So you need to also hear from the ministry. So if you hear from the Football Federation and you don't hear from the ministry, it means you don't get the full story.
Is it usually the practice that their budget is not factored into the ministry?
The budget for every, not only for every association, football has a priority because there is an act of parliament running it. So the budget, the annual budget of the sports ministry, football has the lion's share. Go and check it.
So it's an anomaly if their budget is not factored into the sports ministry's budget.
Of course, it's an anomaly. And the ministry will not do that because before every budget, they ask for the programs they have in a year and put it into the budget.
When he says that there's a certain group that's just consistently fighting, trying to tarnish the image of the NFF and the board, are you part of that group?
That is not correct, Chamberlain. I can't do that.
He didn't name names, but he said a group. Are you part of the group?
No, I can't be part of that. I'm patriotic. I want football to run well in this country because we have the population, we have the resources. In terms of talent, we are even better than Brazil. And if you put proper infrastructures in place, football can even make more revenue for this country than oil and gas. So I am pained when you have people you have so much confidence in and they are not driving, the process very well. We are bound to speak out. So those who feel offended by our statement, we have no apologies for that. Our focus is to make it work.
But there is this belief that the NFF leadership always ensure that at any time it received funds from sponsors, FIFA or CAF, an information memo is duly sent to the Honorable Minister of Sports to notify government of the receipts of the funds where that fund is domiciled.
Pardon me. You'll respond when we come back from this break in a moment. Stay with us. Yeah.
I will still have Mr. Harrison Jalla with us. I wanted to just find out from you. You are aware that the NFF always sends a memo to the government for every income from sponsors, FIFA, CAF, or anybody. If that is the case, how come there is integrity question on the leadership of the NFF?
No, I'm not sure because the NFF, like I said, is supposed to be a parastatal of the ministry. This particular minister, the one that just left office, has always raised the question that this office is being undermined. And
his own office?
His own office is being undermined. And
undermined by who?
By the Federation. the people in the federation, the board that runs the federation.
How can that be when he's in charge of the ministry?
He's supposed to be in charge of the ministry, but he's saying that his office is being undermined. He's always coming on air to say so.
In what way?
You know, well, if decisions are taken, for instance, without the consent of the minister,
financial decisions
that affect major championships, and you felt your office is not being properly
carried along.
You know, it came out to say
financial decisions.
He came along to say, yes, these people have no respect for my office. If you look at it, the tenure was rancorous. There was a lot of tension between the federation and the minister's office. Now, it goes to show that there was no smooth working relationship between the NFF and the minister.
Was the leadership of the NFF appointed by the minister or elected?
They were elected.
So
they were elected. It doesn't make it an autonomous body. It's still a body under the AFN and the other group. Not football now, not only football. The Athletic Federation of Nigeria, the Nigerian Boxing Federation.
Well, we're speaking about football now, but you know,
they are all under the minister.
Unless you're stakeholder, you're speaking about stakeholders. You know, when you mention finance, investors, stakeholders, and that sponsors, have they complained about this? The investors now, or financial derivatives, have they raised integrity questions?
No, in the case of financial derivatives, you can't hold. It's a private company. I think that's a very credible financial institution in this country. They've been there, they have very thorough records. But I think they were misinformed. You can't manage public funds. Those funds is purportedly managing for the NFF are public funds. You can't do that. Did you have the authority of the minister to do so? You know, so that was where they went wrong.
Do they need the minister's consent?
Of course, it's public funds, the funds that comes from FIFA. This is a parastatal under that ministry. You can't hold those funds. The funds that we get from sponsorship, they are public funds that will be accounted for.
What happened to the $135,000 IAF grant also?
They said it was an overpayment, but the minister said he gave money to the Federation of the Athletic.
No, the minister said that he believes that it was not a mistake that they made. Why would they send that kind of money to their accounts?
Yes, even then the minister still asked the AFN to refund through the ministry, but that money didn't go. That's why the fellow was impeached.
But you think we must pay back that money?
Well, we must pay back the money because they said it was supposed to be $15,000 and they mistakenly sent it.
Should the AFCC come in as well?
Well, if the stakeholders, they feel so. But we feel strongly
what do you think?
No. I think the disappearance of that money should be, it's a very thorough bad image to the country. It should be investigated.
Thank you for coming on, Harrison Jalla. Well, that is it today on the program. Thank you all for watching. I'm Chamberlain Uso.
I'm Gimba Umar.
I'm Ayo Makinde.
Thank you. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. Have a lovely holiday.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.